All right, what's going on, beautiful people? It's the North Shore 9 post-game show powered by Primanti Brothers. I am Tyler. With me is Douglas Freshwater. Happy Easter, Doug.
Happy Easter, Tyler.
I'm sure you could think of some other things you'd rather be doing than sitting here talking to me about a Pirates Guardians sweep.
I
on
went and
Easter
saw
Sunday.
I went and saw Sinners yesterday. New Michael B. Jordan movie. We should talk about that. That was more interesting than this. But
Forget
this is our lot in life, I'm afraid. So
forget Neil and Doug go to the movies. It's Tyler
Right.
and Doug go to the movies.
Exactly.
And again,
Anything we talk about this junk, right?
Yeah, and again, we have to keep it lowered again. Yeah. People are going to be on me in the comments about talking about Cleveland. I stand by everything I've ever said about Cleveland. It's a dump. It's a terrible place to live. Don't want anything to do with it. Don't want them to have any happiness. But unfortunately, their baseball team is better than ours.
Which is a very, very low bar. So,
yeah. Before we get into today's game here, let me tell you guys about BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. Baseball season is in full swing, and we're into the home stretch for NBA and NHL playoffs. BetOnline has more ways to stay into the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, and even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds from everything from the MLB, NHL, and UFC, BetOnline remains the number one online source for all your sports wagering info. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here. Maybe if you would have taken like a live bet today, you could have maybe got a run line in there, because we'll start this thing here in the ninth inning, Doug, because nobody wants to talk through innings 1 through 8.
fair enough.
Ninth inning, the Pirates are down 4-1. We finally got a little bit of life out of this offense. And truthfully, if you were doing the live betting, the run line was probably like 2.5 by that point. Emmanuel Clase comes in the game for Cleveland. He's very, very difficult to hit.
Yeah, he's as close to automatic as there is.
I had this show ready to go. I was done with everything. And I get a text from Donardo. Well, be ready to change everything. And that is what we had to do. So the inning starts there with Valdez walk, who apparently isn't as injured as we feared. Followed up by a Tommy Pham double that Doug, he can actually double. He can hit the ball.
Yeah, he hit the ball hard. It was a legit double. It didn't like bounce into a corner, and the outfielder didn't misplay it. It was an actual double. Let's see, raising his average to 149 and his OPS to 441. So, we'll discuss this more. I have a new person to blame for our bad batting averages, but I'll save it till after we get through this inning discussion.
And then that is followed up by actually a good at bat from Adam Frazier, one of the few we've seen from him all year.
Yes.
Let's be honest. What does that raise him to, Doug?
He's up to 209 with a 538 OPS. But look, these guys provide much needed veteran leadership. As you can see by the way this team plays, so fundamentally sound, how engaged they are from pitch to pitch to pitch. They don't make silly base running errors. Nobody got thrown out at third today. So I mean, that can only be the influence, I would say, of Tommy Pham and Adam Frazier.
And while we're speaking of all this positivity here, what happens with our next veteran leader who comes up later in that inning, IKF? He can't get a damn bunt down.
Right. A team that's so good at making outs, right? We're so good at making outs. Why can't we make the appropriate out when needed? But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? He's Gold Glove level shortstop. So how do how do you sit that guy? Cannon of an arm. I mean, you got to put up with that bat sometimes for all those other tangible and intangible things he brings to the position.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and rewind and touch a little bit on the good out of that. I guess if we're gonna give a little bit of like positivity here, they battled against Emmanuel Clase a little bit. They tied the game up. You saw a little bit of life out of the bats there. We saw some good base running from Adam Frazier in that situation as well, stealing third after our old pal IKF was unable to get a bunt down, unable to advance the runner. There was some good in that inning, Doug. So, like, are you going to tip the cap a little bit?
I mean, a little, but I mean, the definition of this team is, or the theme or whatever is starting to be, it's a little too little, it's a little too late. Because what happens, and again, now this came from the bottom of the lineup. But what happens once you basically get past Reynolds, Kutch, and Bart, you got a bunch of guys with sub 200 batting averages coming up. And if you get something out of them, right, then, the chances are they're not going to come around and do that a second time, around in the lineup. I mean, again, all they had to do in that next inning was, or actually in that inning was work their way past Reynolds and McCutcheon. Sort of, it wasn't really an intentional walk to Bart, but it was an intentional walk to Bart. And then zip, 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 zap, kazoo, the Pirates send you home blue once again. So.
Yeah, fair enough there. But hey, they were able to tie the game up there.
They got a little fight. I mean, we'll give them credit. They're not giving up. And it would be really easy on this team to say, let's just go home. It's Easter. Let my kid get an Easter basket and call it a day. So yeah, I mean, yay, they've got a little fight. I feel like we're sort of celebrating Little League again. Let's get to the Dairy Queen. Everybody's a winner.
You know what, Doug? I think you're right. I think that's why it's so frustrating here is that I can't even get excited over that little stretch because it came from three guys. Tommy Pham hitting 149. Valdez, who he's been decent at the plate so far, but he is who he is. He's not a good hitter. He's hitting 229, followed by Frazier. He's hitting 209.
Right.
And then you follow that up
by Valdez.
Right.
Valdez is not a good hitter. He just looks like Babe Ruth on this team because he's 229 instead of 179. Right. It's like, wow, I remember him getting on base occasionally. So yeah, it's
because, and it's not like, if it was Endy, Henry, I don't even throw like a Triolo Sawinski in that mix of guys that are stringing together those hits in the ninth inning. Maybe I have a little bit more excitement over it. But it's three guys that I don't even want to be here right now.
Right. I don't want them on the roster. Right. Yeah, exactly. If this was York or Billy Cook, if this was Nick Gonzalez, like I said, if it was Henry or Endy, I'm sort of out on Jack. But yeah, if this was Henry or Endy, I'm like, all right, maybe he's turning a corner. Maybe he's figuring it out. It's Tommy Pham. It's Adam Frazier. They're old. The better parts of their career are behind them. Again, Adam Frazier, nice play at second base there in the ninth or the 10th inning. I mean, nice little game from him, but we can't expect it consistently. He's not very good. At his best, he was not very good, and he's far from his best now. I like him. I like Adam Frazier. I've been a fan of Adam Frazier. I don't want him on this team, especially at the expense of somebody like York or Cook or and I'm not saying that they're the answer, but I would like to find out. They're a better question than what Adam Frazier or Tommy Pham is. So yeah, it's it's like, okay. I mean, I want wins. We need wins, and I'll take them if they they come from 4 home run game from Tommy Pham, and I'll celebrate it. But again, it's more encouraging if we see it from some of these guys that we think are part of the future, or even the very near future, like 3 months down the road kind of thing.
Right. And Jim does mention the tying RBI was by Brian Hayes, which that was good to see, but that's why I didn't really include him in that list of it's basically like just giving those guys an extra couple weeks with this team. So
Because it is easy to include Brian Hayes in the he's not hitting well. You know, he had 2 hits
it
today.
is, but I'm pumping the brakes a little bit on him. I like some
No,
of
I
the
agree.
guys.
I'm I reserve all comments on him for a while,
Right.
but yeah,
Good way to put it. I'm reserving all judgment on Brian Hayes right now. But he ties the game up, and we just talked about those 3 fun-filled players that the Pirates had. So we get to the 10th inning, and you mentioned it there. Adam Frazier does make a fantastic play at second base. Guardians still are able to get a run on the board there, and then the Pirates, as usual, leave a runner on base and fall 5-4. Again, too little, too late, like you said.
Right. For most teams, a runner on second when nobody else means a run is going to be scored. I mean, that's a recipe for most runs. They get a leadoff double in any inning, and they're more likely going to get that guy in. The Pirates, that's it's a crapshoot at best. We've had second and third with no outs, and have left that inning with those guys standing on second and third, and strikeouts looking, comebackers to them, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I mean, it's. And I mean, I don't think any of us were like, "Oh, they're definitely going to tie it up here." No, we were not. And again, it theoretically, that was the heart of our lineup, right?
It was.
That was Bart, Cruz, yeah. So
Bart, Cruz, and I guess
then
Valdez.
Valdez, yeah. That's our big 3. That's our equivalent of it. NS9's you, Donardo, and Jim, right?
So yeah, Pirates drop this one, get swept by the Guardians, lose this one 5-4. I guess at some point we do need to talk a little bit about the guy that you are always on for, Mitch Keller, who got the start.
My guy,
today.
Mitch.
I felt like, you know what I thought they were going in the 9th inning? I thought me and you were going to talk about another Mitch Keller start where he wasn't like sharp or really great by any means, I don't think. He was solid, though. I mean, he pitched well enough to win the game.
Theoretically, right. He pitched well enough to win the game. On any, of the other 29 major league teams, maybe us and maybe not the Rockies, but he pitched well enough to win a game for a major league team with a major league, batting lineup. But yeah, I mean, again, I was concerned. He gave up. Manzardo looks good.
Yeah, he might be a Pirates killer.
Yeah, he looks good. Right, he's kind of guy we'll trade for because he's looked great against us, but nobody else type thing, right?
I think he is pretty solid now.
No, he looks pretty solid, and so he gave up a 2-run homer. He wasn't as sharp as he wasn't great, but if you remember last year when Keller made his first start in May, his ERA was 5.08. He has pitched better this year than he has in the early goings than he has in the past couple of seasons. So, I'm hoping and trusting that when the calendar flips to May, that he will ramp it up like he has the past couple of years, and that we're going to get 2-3 months of just, all-star ace type performances from him. I think I think he's growing. I think he's getting better. He's by no means a perfect pitcher. And he typically gives us more innings than he does today. But it was, as you said, it was a solid outing, and he left down 2-0. They don't score runs when he starts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't score runs for hardly anybody. It's sadly it's not exclusive to Mitch. You talked about it yesterday with Skeens. So. You can't you could nitpick, I suppose, a little at Keller's performance today, but generally speaking, you get 5 innings and 2 runs out of a starter. And especially with a team that's got a pretty good bullpen, you should be able to get there the rest of the way.
And the sad thing is when he gave up 2 runs, I automatically thought the game was over.
Oh, I did too. It's like, okay, that's insurmountable.
Yeah. Right. But Noah tweeted earlier a stat about Mitch Keller. The Pirates have not scored a run for Mitch Keller since the bottom of the 3rd inning of the home opener, which was April 4th. He has a 2.45 ERA since then. He gets no help.
Yeah, right. It's got to be frustrating. I think it puts an additional pressure on a pitcher, knowing. I mean, you pitch differently. I think. I imagine when somebody faces Paul Skeens, right? They're like, man, I can't give up a run. So
Yeah.
you're now sort of pitching in the second and third inning, like maybe you would in the seventh, or that sort of thing.
Hmm.
And then you end up getting a little too fine, a little too cute, and next thing you know,
Hmm.
you've walked two guys or whatever. And so I think this puts an additional pressure on Keller, on all of our starters. Like, okay, I can't make a mistake, as opposed to being able to go out there and just let it fly and throw strike. We just just throw strikes. Oh, we throw strikes, they might get hits, and if they get hits, we can't score. So
Yeah. I mean, I thought he looked okay. You do want to see at some point you want to see the lights out Mitch Keller that's missing bats, but I'm okay with this right now. We're getting an efficient version of him. Cutter's pretty much just completely scrapped, which I know you're probably thrilled about.
I'm happy. He should be happy, right? The Pirates organization should be happy. That's not been an effective pitch for him. It's
Right.
cost him time and time again. And he would continue to go back to it. I mean, sometimes you just got to realize, not my pitch, right? I've
Hmm.
got, and this isn't a guy that only has two pitches and he's trying to find a third pitch,
Right.
right? He's got a good repertoire. He does not need to go so deep into his bag of tricks if it's not going to work. I'm not against him working on it. And, if he's ever up in it, 8-0 in a game, throw some cutters, see what you can do. But until that happens, I don't want to see it again.
I mean, I don't mind it every now and then if you got a lefty up, but maybe like 3 or 4 times a game. Like,
Yeah.
just show it to him.
If he were throwing it against this lineup, our Pirates lineup, right? You're like, hey, you can take some chances, buddy. You're right, yeah. So right, when we play the Rockies, when we play the Marlins, some of these teams that don't hit very well, yeah, but I don't want. I mean, Cleveland can hit. I don't want to see it against
Mhm.
Cleveland.
And I mean, today, the home run he gives up to Stephen Kwan. Stephen Kwan's a really good hitter. You can live with that.
Right.
It's a 2-run homer. He gave up a weak single. It was like 79 miles an hour off the bat. And then you give up a home run to Stephen Kwan. It's not like he walked the guy and then gave up a homer.
No,
Just a
no.
sinker he left middle. That's baseball.
It's baseball, right? This happens. Justin Verlander gives up these. Paul Skeens gives up these. The great pitchers, throughout baseball have given these up on a regular basis. They're good enough to overcome them because that's all the damage they allow, and then they get some support from their team. And you don't even think about it. You've forgotten it by the seventh inning because you're up 6-2, and your bullpen's coming in to do their job. But
Yeah. So, all things said, I mean, solid start from Keller. Rest of the bullpen, you got Justin Lawrence. Another shutout inning from him. He's been pretty much awesome.
yeah.
Joey
And my
Wentz.
only complaint about
Yep.
him is that they're not using him later in games,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Like, we are getting to the point where he probably could be a big part of the 8th inning at least.
Right.
And then Joey Wentz finally shows he's a little bit human.
Right. Same thing.
The
I'm not mad with him. I'm not mad with him. He's pitched great for us. He's been effective against lefties. He's done everything he's supposed to do. Baseball happened to him today, right? I mean, you're not going to go the entire season without giving up a run or two.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Manzardo, his second home run of the series against the Pirates. He's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's in the AL.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
I
We only
mean,
have to see him once a year.
and Chase Shugart, a really good outing from him as well. The bullpen
Yeah.
has been good since Holderman and Bednar were removed from it.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's been lights out since the two best guys, since the 8th and 9th inning guy have been removed. It's been a very good bullpen, very effective. Not a lot of sexy names, not a lot of
No.
big names, not a, flash or dash to it. It's just guys come in and do their job.
Yeah, I mean, today's probably an average day for them. They weren't as good as they probably could have been just because of the Wentz home run he gave up, but they still went 5 innings and gave up 2 earned runs.
Right.
So Dennis Santana does end up giving up that last run. It's unearned because of the stupid extra inning rule.
Right. Right. The Rob Manfred on second base.
Because we're playing Manfred ball and extras, whatever.
Right. Yeah, I'm like I said, can't even really be upset with him. And he came in on a sacrifice fly. It wasn't like they were, hitting the ball over the yard. It's just a good team can usually get a run in from second base with nobody out. So, and that's exactly what happened.
Another part of this game I do want to talk about, and it ties into everything again. This team cannot figure out how to play defensive baseball. I don't know how many more times we have to watch Canario out there, Canario, trying to man center field like he's never been there before in his entire life. We
Right.
watch him circle around a baseball, fall over trying to catch a simple fly ball. We've got IKF at short that has to muscle the ball across the diamond. He almost gets beat out by Carlos Santana on an infield hit. That's how weak his arm is.
No.
It's problems everywhere. They've got guys playing out of position that it's every game. There is a problem defensively. Today, they kind of got away with it, but it was ugly as crap.
No, it's, again, this is a team that they will tell you, we're building our team around our starting rotation. And you supported that by giving it a good bullpen. And now you take guys that are not good fielders. You take a guy that's a bad left fielder and you play him in center field, right? You take a guy who is a good utility infielder. His worst position is shortstop, and you play him at shortstop every day. Again, these guys can't afford to give up runs, and you're just handing out free runs all the time. And what makes it more frustrating is, like, in particular with center field, is that you've got Gorski and Cook down there in AAA, who are both really good defensive outfielders. And again, if this were the 27 Yankees, if this were the 2025 Yankees, you'd put up with some fielding miscues, because you're going to say, you know what? We average 6-7 runs a game. We overcome because we can hit. But we've got guys hitting 178 that can't field, who look like they've never played in the outfield before. It's just, I mean, it's just inane. It's so frustrating. Yeah, you're right. I mean, again, it didn't tangibly affect the game today, but again, it has so much negative impact. First of all, again, the pitchers are like, I have to strike everybody out, type thing.
Yeah.
I can't even allow pop-ups because we just don't know what's going to happen. So, and they end up, there's so many times outs aren't made that, it's like they have to throw more pitches. They have to they have to be more perfect. And it's just too much to ask. It's too much of a burden.
The outfield today included
Oh my God.
Canario, who now is hitting 087, and Tommy Pham, who we have mentioned three times now, actually, that he is hitting 149. Andrew McCutchen, DH, he couldn't play yesterday because apparently he needed a day off. O'Neal Cruz, who DH yesterday, needed today off. He did end up coming in. Where the hell's the urgency to win a game?
Yeah.
You just got beat.
You're at home, and you're about to get swept, right?
You're about to get swept.
You're at home,
the first two games of this series.
Right. And you put
that's what you trot out.
Right.
And you have an off day tomorrow.
If I'm living in Indianapolis and I go to an Indy game and that outfield is playing, I'm like, what the hell, man? Right? I'd be mad at the AAA level if our outfield was, Canario
Right.
and Pham. I mean, it's like, oh, I paid for these tickets? Are you kidding me? Yeah.
It's Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
And you give us a lineup with Canario, Tommy Pham, no O'Neal Cruz.
Right.
What are we doing here?
Yeah. We're not trying to win games.
No.
And then and to add to that, Ben Sherrington saying, oh, yeah, you saw those lines yesterday? It's got me excited thinking about what's going to happen when we go to the playoffs. We're not allowed to swear. But just, something Ben Sherrington. Oh, it's insulting.
Easter Sunday, off day tomorrow. You DH Cruz yesterday. You sat Kutch yesterday. And today we get a lineup with Tommy Pham and Canario.
Yeah.
I love this team. You can't make stuff up.
Right. That's, golly, it's really something. It's really something. And I do want to say that I put a lot of the blame on this to Rowdy Tellez. And I know that sounds a little odd, but Rowdy Tellez at this point last year was exactly where Pham and
Mhm.
Canario were. We wanted them out of town. We wanted him off the roster, all that sort of thing. And then on June 1st, he got hot.
Mhm.
And, Charrington was saying prior to that, we just have to be patient. We feel he's about to turn the corner. Our in-house advanced metrics say, and I'm sure that he's buying into that now, that Pham and Frazier and Canario and Valdez, all these guys, they're just, just a couple more, just a few tweaks to turning it around. And that's where, and then we're going to wait on that one good month, because that's really all we got out of Rowdy was one good month. And
Mhm.
if you remember, I know you remember because you got on board because he said it was an adjustment from his dad.
Yep.
It wasn't our hitting coach. Wasn't anybody in the organization. His dad called and said, "What the hell, son?" So yeah, so I blame Rowdy. I blame Rowdy, who I think hit a grand slam last night. So
We now sit 8-15, Doug.
all right.
How much longer does Derek Shelton get?
I mean, again, with 29 other organizations, he does not make this road trip. Right, good time to bring in a new
Mhm.
guy, exactly. And people, who's going to stay up late to watch the Pirates? I think North Shore Nine might take a hiatus for a week. you know, so let- put Donnie Kelly in, bring somebody from the outside, ask Jim Leland to come in. I don't care. I don't care. I'm to the point now where I want change for change's sake,
Mhm.
something to show me that you realize that things aren't going well, that just a little more patience will solve this problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, indulge me for a second, okay? Because this is going to go to something,
Okay.
back to something that occurred yesterday, and I know the boys will talk about it tomorrow on their show tomorrow. So they see the lines. Bob Nutting is driving to the ballpark, and he sees the lines for the Paul Skeens bobblehead, and he comes in and he says, "My goodness, we need to give these people all a bobblehead." Right now, let's be honest. Okay, first of all, the promotion said first 20,000 people. So, hey, Sparky, if you didn't get there in time, you still left 15 minutes earlier. But fine, it's a nice gesture, but it's a gesture in response to the fact that the Bucko bricks and engraved with people's loved ones' names on them is in a dumpster somewhere, and that the Surfside sign went up in place of the Clemente thing. Right? That's all that is. This is just, you know, and Ryan tweeted out yesterday. He said to the effect of like, "Hey, why doesn't he drive by the standings and get upset by that?" And that's kind of where I want to go. Why isn't he bothered by this lineup? What and what this proves to me? This proves two things to me. Bob Nutting doesn't understand what he has with Paul Skeens. You could have asked any of the NS9 co-hosts, "Hey, will the Skeens turn out be great? Will they be lined up down the street?" Yes. You could have asked anybody in our chat. They would have said yes. Us and our chat, we're all psychos. Our priorities are askew. That's fine. You know who else you could have asked? You could have asked MLB, because they started Paul Skeens in the All-Star game. They put him on the cover of MLB The Show, and they feature him in commercials all the time. You could have asked the national media. ESPN, who barely recognizes the Pirates exist, constantly mentioned Paul Skeens. You could have asked GQ. They know. They're doing features on him and Livy Dunn. But the Pittsburgh Pirates don't understand what they have in Paul Skeens. So that tells me just how stupid they are. All the baseball, everybody else knows that you've got this generational thing. You have the best opportunity to ever to build your team, your fan base, your brand, generate revenue. And he's driving to the game going, "Oh my goodness, some people are in line for a Paul Skeens bobblehead. Huh, I'll have to do something about that." So, and this gets to my other point, that people think that Bob Nutting is this evil genius who's got this perfect formula. I know I can draw 10,274 fans and still make a tiny little profit. And as long as we get towards 75 wins and have 2 or 3 minor leaguers that we can use to sell hope. No, no. He was born into privilege. He was born on third base. He thinks he hit a triple. He's not a good businessman. Any good businessman would say, "Oh my God, I've got the golden child. Let's build around him. Let's go to the playoffs." He wants to turn this over to his daughters. You would want it. I would be pissed at my dad if he brought this junk to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, man. Like this is the thing he wanted to fix. Oh, those poor people that didn't get to the game early enough need to get a bobblehead. But I'm gonna let a Tommy Pham, Jared Triolo, Adam Frazier, back end of the lineup continue on. No problem. Keep at it, Ben. I have great confidence in you. This is just absurd. This team doesn't know what there's nobody there that knows what they're doing. It's just unbelievable. Their PR is terrible. And look, they have not fixed this situation with the bobbleheads yet. You know what I'm saying? Until those people actually have their bobblehead, because, I can see the Pirates sending them a day old pretzel by accident. It's like, I mean, this is not what they do. I went to a game 100 years ago, got a rain check for my golf umbrella, and you're supposed to fill out the little thing, mail it, and then get your umbrella back. It was at Three Rivers, brother. I'm still waiting for that golf umbrella. All right. They don't do anything well. They don't do anything well. And I just can't get over this. This is the thing that inspired Bob Nutting to actually take action and speak out for the first time in his ownership. Right. And I think he got a little upset about the Brian Reynolds going to arbitration thing. But we didn't hear from him. We heard that from media. So I'm sorry. I can't believe this is the thing that woke him from his slumber. But at no point did he notice that your team sucks, your general manager sucks, and you were going to trade Skeens in year 4, and if this guy is the guy that makes the trade, you're getting nothing back. We're going to get Hoy Park and Tucupita Marcano. He'll probably bring back Sawinski back by then. By the time after we've let him go, I can't take it.
Doug, you want to know the best part? Like half those fans were probably Cleveland fans yesterday. They're the ones getting bobbleheads.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? That's the other thing. Those are the people that are still driving in from freaking Youngstown. Oh, God.
So the solution is that we just gave half the fans who are Cleveland fans bobbleheads. Right. Everything is fixed.
Yeah. Now we're all happy. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Bucko brick with my son's name in it is in a trash dump somewhere. When I go to a game, right? Don't even. I could go on.
We get an off day tomorrow, Doug.
Yes, we do. And I saw someone said a much deserved off day for the Pirates. I don't know if they deserve it, but we as fans, we deserve.
We don't want to watch them again.
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
Good. I'll take it.
I need some load management here, brother. I can't.
Yeah. All right, Doug. Anything else you got here?
That's it. I'm sorry.
We need another Doug rant next week, and I'm sure we'll get one.
I mean, this team's providing for him. They're writing the script. I'm just a dancing monkey at this point.
All right, Pirates dropped this 1-5-4. We're gonna get out of here. I'm Tyler. With me is Doug. It's a sad
Thanks,
day.
chat. We'll see you Tuesday night late.
Yeah, late nights next week. We're out of here. Peace out, Girl Scouts.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.